Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. David Orman, and you're listening to another episode of The Wellness Shot for the week of December 8th. Even though it's a kind of a dreary day out there today, there's always something to be happy, always something to be grateful about. Today's topic is the actually two subjects, kind of cousins, so to speak, addiction and compulsion. And I picked these two because in this past couple of weeks, I have been treating people with that. I did some research, and it's about 20% of the population have some type of addiction or compulsion. Now, when we think of addiction or compulsion, we often think of things like drugs, alcohol, perhaps gambling. But also included in this was things like phone compulsion. And if you've ever gone to a gym, for example, you find that it's unfortunately not uncommon for somebody to sit on a machine for 20 minutes, 19 of them like this, and then the other 1 minute just doing their thing. And a lot of accidents have been caused, car accidents have been caused by overuse of phone or addiction to the phone itself. And fortunately, there are quite a number of things that can be done to correct it. First of all, from a natural medicine perspective, there are three major organs that are the cause of addiction and compulsion. The first is the liver. The liver chi its job is to move the energy throughout the body, head to toe, side to side, front to back. And when it gets stuck, heat is created. And so the liver, it's responsible for quite a number of things, and the emotions that are associated with it are anger, frustration, and depression. When it's flowing, it's on the flip side. And the flip side of the emotion is creativity. So people who paint and draw and play music, their liver is healthy, their liver is happy, their liver is flowing. But when a person feels anger, and I don't mean just, 10-second worth of anger and then all is right with the world. uh, Consistently anger or consistently frustrated, consistently depressed, that is a liver issue. And it's often a result of things like suppressed emotion, overthinking, frustration, as well as chemicals and some type of addiction. When the liver gets overheated, that heat rises, and that's when a person has a tendency to become explosive often at times, or they will sink deeply within themselves and have this level of depression that is difficult to pull out. What it also does is irritate and disrupt the energy of the heart. The heart, there's a component of the heart called the Shen, which is loosely translated as the spirit. So it's the part of us that isn't this thing, that isn't we live to be 100, and then when this dies, it no longer exists. The thing that goes on forever, wherever it is we go on to, we refer to it as the Shen. The Shen gets unsettled, and as a result, the mind feels scattered. The mind feels sometimes overstimulated, where we can't stop with that inner dialogue. Da, 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 da. It doesn't shut up inside our heads, or we can't think clearly. And again, that's a result of that the liver affecting the heart. When that occurs, we have the third of the triad, the loop, and that's where the kidney energy. And there's a term called Jing, which means essence, which is the think of it as pure gold. We're born with a certain amount. We can't add to it. We can add gold plated. We can take care of our Jing by living properly, by doing Bagua and Qigong and exercising, by living with passion, by eating right, all those things. But we can't create anymore. The problem is addictions and compulsions burn out that essence, and as a result, weaken the kidneys. We often experience fear, exhaustion. We find ourselves in traumas when that occurs. So it's that unhealthy triad where the liver gets overheated, which then affects the heart, which then affects the kidney, which then affects the liver, and we start going in that cycle and circle. When that triangle or that three-part circle occurs, That's when typically addictions start to kick into gear, compulsions start to kick into gear. From a Western medical perspective, it's usually low dopamine, and that's often caused by chronic stress, overuse of stimulants, lack of sleep, emotional traumas, emotional exhaustion, and that leads to that neurological hunger, if you will. And compulsions, whether they be food or drugs or alcohol, different substances, gambling, endless scrolling, phone addictions at a gym, for example, as I mentioned. This is a way to medicate, or at least an attempt at self-medication to help alleviate that liver, heart, kidney issue. So again, the liver, anger, frustration, depression, the heart, deep sadness, and the kidney, fear. So we get in that type of emotional loop. Fortunately, there are quite a number of substances and a number of methods which can help to alleviate this type of problem. And the first of the herbs is called He Huan Pi. It's a kind of an odd name, isn't it? Three words. He, H-E. Next word, Huan, H-U-A-N. Next word is P, which is P-I. And collectively, this is what's known as the herb of collective happiness. And so basically what it does is it calms and anchors that inner spirit, strengthens the heart, strengthens the kidneys, and also helps to move that liver energy. And it is a fantastic herb. It's cooling by nature, so it helps to clear that excessive heat, which is causing the issue with the liver, and it is exceptional for alleviating, for breaking the cycle of addiction and compulsion. And when the addiction and or compulsion is really strong, there is an herb called kudzu root. That's Kudzu. It's also called Pararia, which is spelled P-U-E-R-A-R-I-A-E. P-U-E-R-A-R-I-A-E, Pararia. It basically means the same thing. And when you see Pararia, it looks like chalk. It's sometimes flat, but it has this white chalky, and it sort of tastes as you would imagine chalk might taste like. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just there. And what it does is help to alleviate, particularly cravings for alcohol, cravings for foods, craving for drugs, that specific craving behavior, and it decreases that compulsive type behavior. It is, I would say, if people who had addiction started using that, there'd be a dramatic, if I was to take a guess, I would say 75% reduction in addiction and compulsion just with that herb alone. Now you add additional treatment, you have a nice package. There are two acupressure points that are very, very good. The first one is between the eyebrow. It's called yin tong, which is right here. It's about the size of about a dime or a penny. And simply imagine that point being made out of butter and your finger is a hot poker and you slowly spiral as if you were pushing in and then slowly spiral your way out and do each for about 30 seconds for a total of a minute. And this is a point that is considered the master point for calming the spirit, for alleviating addictions, for steadying that emotional imbalance, or for strengthening that emotional center in the body. It reduces anxiety. It helps to, how would I say this? Reduce rumination, where you're constantly thinking about, oh, I can't believe I did that. That's so horrible of me. I need to take this to so I don't have to think anymore. No, it allows you to put the issue in perspective where you may need help with it depending on what it is, but it also helps you to realize that, and wait a second, I'm human, or at least a part of me that is human did that. I can make amends at all times. I can forgive and be forgiven, and you can put it in perspective. It doesn't have to dominate your life. It doesn't have to take over your life. And the second point is If you go to the crease in the wrist and right in the end here, it's called heart 7, also known as Shen Men. It's the Chinese word for it. And this is also a master point for calming the Shen. It helps to reduce anxiety. It helps to increase creativity. When things get real hyper or things get real, I don't feel like moving. This is the particular point with it. And this combination is fantastic for settling and for balancing the entire nervous system. So those substances, the two substances that I mentioned, these are 2 points which are excellent. And again, that combination is fantastic. And last but not least, I mention this quite frequently. It's a martial art, but it's really a moving meditation. It's a form, it's a cousin to Qigong and Tai Chi, but I think it's better because it creates more physical benefits, particularly for those who have back issues, low back issues. And I just think it's more interesting. And it's called Bagua, Bagua. It is a slow form of circular moving, and it is excellent for grounding a person. It is excellent for helping with the low back. It is excellent for digestion, and it is excellent for creating that focus on something that is worthwhile focusing. So, for example, uh, people struggle with maybe alcohol addiction. That isn't worthwhile focusing on. It's not adding to your life. In fact, most likely it's destroying it. But when you find that passion, when you find that joy, when you find that happiness, and you're able to focus on that, that's when life begins to be more colorful, more adventurous, more filled with joy, filled with happiness. People who you can help or who help you start coming into your life. And to me, Bagua focuses on that. So those two herbs, those 2 points, and something like Bagua. And again, if you can't find it, Tai Chi, Qigong, those are all fabulous. You've been listening to another The Wellness Shot. My name is Dr. David Orman. I will see you next week. Oh, one more thing. See the like button? Click that, please. It really, really, really helps. And also, put your comments below. If you want to hear something, a particular topic, I'd be happy to do it. Thank you again. Now I'll see you next week.